again, this may sound bad and some people don't like to hear it, but at the end of the day, hard work doesn't mean everything, because are you producing results, and are those results goal oriented, and are they gonna grow?
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, everyone should work hard. That shouldn't be a characteristic or a trait that sets you apart from somebody else. And a lot of athletes are there to produce results. Just because you work the hardest doesn't mean you're going to be the best, whatever. That's just the reality of it. So when you translate that into a career, you understand that you have to find a way to be better than the next person, or do something better than you did the day before. And that's a trait that is very, very hard to teach.
Hey everyone, I'd like to welcome you to another episode of the Brand Power Analysis. Today we have Drew Scott. Why don't you tell everyone a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, well, I said, thanks for having me. I really appreciate you taking the time to talk. So I'm originally from Cedar Rapids, Iowa. And then kind of from there, really didn't know what I wanted to do, but had an opportunity to play football at K-State. Was a long snapper at K-State, and it was kind of crazy because I never thought that long snapping was really a recruitable position. Because I was going to play baseball, and I thought that's what I wanted to do, but then kind of accidentally went to special teams camp. I thought it was going to be more of a how-to, so I kind of refined some skills before the season, but then ended up getting recruited. Tried to play baseball in college, but they said pick one sport, so ended up picking football. And then kind of from there, bounced around with NFL teams and have kind of been in and out of the NFL for the last 3 years now. So, but yeah, it's been going good.
Well, that's great. Why don't you talk to me a little bit about, I mean, we don't need to get into the nitty gritty of, team corporate stuff, but why don't you give me a little bit of a feel for how it was on the field, how it was playing with other teammates, and that transition you felt as you kind of went through from college to that transition period from college to the NFL.
Yeah, so honestly, didn't really know if I was going to play football after college or not. Really what kind of catapulted that was had the opportunity to play in the East-West Shrine game after college. So East-West Shrine game is just kind of like an all-star game, just like the Senior Bowl down in St. Pete. It's put on by the Shriners Hospital, which is just an awesome game. You get to go see the Shriners Hospital down in St. Pete, which was really, really cool because you get to see what they're doing. But then so after that, played well in that, had a few teams look at me, and then ended up going to the Raiders. But so as far as kind of to your question about that transition, it was really cool because just being competitive and trying to prepare, it really takes the next level of preparation. Because, I mean, when you're in college, especially being a long snapper, you don't have people scouting and preparing for you in practice. So that was just a whole nother element because, I mean, special teams, that's people's job. So, I mean, I had my own teammates preparing for practice the way they prepare for a game. And so that was really cool just because my favorite thing about the NFL was just how competitive it was, and you're going against truly the best people in the world every single day. So you have to take our approach that, I mean, you can get cut tomorrow, or if you get hurt, I mean, you never really know what's going to happen. So that for me was probably my favorite part. And plus, you just get to be around a diverse group of people that just are incredible. So you get to, I mean, really explore and pick people's brains that you would never have access to outside of football. So that level in the locker room, that you get to meet people on a personal level that are in this public light, and then you get to learn them personal and really what drives them. So that was really cool because you get to take bits and pieces from these pros that have been doing it for X amount of years and try to incorporate that into your game or just your personal life. And you really learn how to, if it's football or if it's just life in general, you get to learn how to create the best version of yourself from watching and taking little things from other people.
That's fascinating. I mean, I think we kind of chatted a little bit yesterday on that on that a little bit, and I think that we started ranting about social media a little bit. And uh, how do you feel like the impact from you as an athlete on, let's say social media or online is different than or the same as the locker room?
So I guess when we're talking about like college, especially, so that was like the one thing I was kind of in the process. Like I kind of saw all of that grow, like the social media growth when I was in from high school into college. Because like when I was in high school, I didn't have Facebook or Instagram or any of those things. So it's cool because you see these people establishing their brands almost in high school now. And to get recruited, you kind of have to have social media now. And so I think it's very interesting because social media has given people a platform to show really what they care about. And so you get that personal side, and then you get from in the locker room, you really get a deeper understanding of why they're doing it, or if it's monetizing their benefit with a company, or if it's something they just really care about. So you get to learn more and more by talking to the player. But I think it's really cool because social media, especially with your really genuine people, their social media platforms are really a direct correlation to who they are. And it's cool to see like these people that are really utilizing it in a great way, and they're showing more of their personality, because you really don't get to see some, especially under a helmet. Some of the people I've listened to podcasts and seen movies on, especially football, you don't get to see personality as much because you're under a helmet. You don't really get to see what they look like. Whereas basketball, they don't have a helmet, and baseball, you don't have a helmet. So like you really get to see their character through emotion and all that stuff. Whereas football, it's really kind of dictated around the play. But now social media is opening up, hey, we really get to see what this person's all about. And so I think that's really important because you're getting brands have access to these athletes now, where if their visions align and their core values align, you can really get involved. And you with social media, I mean, you can DM anybody you want and you can pick their brain, obviously if they respond or not. But I think that just provides a level of, I don't even know how to, it's just so cool to see how brands and athletes have been able to interact with everything going on.
Yeah, I think you brought up an important point there. I think when you brought up if the brands and the athletes' values align, and I know we kind of talked about this in the past. When How do I explain it? Aligning the values of an athlete. Can you explain that? What you mean? Your precipitation of that is, because I think that a lot of athletes may not understand what that means in general.
So if you have really something that you care about and you're passionate about, you can have a direct benefit potentially with a brand or a company, because when you care about something and a brand or a company cares about something, there's a chance to cross-sell your brand and your platform with theirs. And I think that's really what the coolest part is, because you get this opportunity to help promote each other. Mm-hmm. And that's really the most important thing that you get from the social media element is there's two promotions going on.
Yeah.
One, the brand is getting promoted by the player, but when the brand does it, they're also promoting the player. And in more of just like a domino effect, then you get more light shown on the sport, the school, and then it just kind of trickles down to hey, this player was really interesting. He goes to a cool school. I really like what their football program or baseball or basketball, rowing, whatever it is doing. And then that opens up more and more. Oh, let me take a deeper look into what this school is doing. And then you find other people that you like on that respective team. And so I think that's the cool part, because there's so much continuity involved, and you can have there's so much connection going on.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I think it allows athletes to follow their additional passions outside the game. And I'll use this as an example. We recently did an audit for a wide receiver, and he was very, very big into photography. And he had, you know, lots of, passion shots. He was trying to figure out what he was going to do outside the game. And when we kind of did our audit for him on social media and found out who his fan base was, we saw that those were his most engaging posts. So we were able to align, hey, this is the direction that you love to do. This is the kind of direction that you should go with your copy, with your visuals, with the kind of content you're posting. But then we were able to explain to him that, hey, now you have an opportunity to reach companies that are in have that same fan base, very similar to what you said, where it's like, oh, now he could possibly do a joint partnership with Kodak or with
and that's that wholesome content, because that
yeah.
wholesome content is really that genuine, wholesome, and you can tell. I mean, the transparency.
Oh yeah.
You can just tell when somebody cares or doesn't care. If it's just they're monetizing their social media for something, and they're just throwing a post up to throw a post up, or if it's something that they're truly passionate about. You can't really replicate that. And I think that it's from a fan's engagement, you can tell, and it's so obvious.
Yeah, I think a lot of athletes, and we do a couple webinars for some NFL organizations, and we kind of help talk to the athletes about this particular thing, because so many of them don't understand the difference between, like, because they don't go through the same pain points as business owners do when they learn certain things. And so they're like, oh, I need an affiliate link here. I need to do a link here. I'm doing a link to make $3 here, $4 here. And I explain to them, I'm like, hey, you have so much potential. Let's just find your passion and what you're doing with your business. And the clients and the fans will come. You just can't be forceful. Too many people these days understand marketing enough and get sold to enough that they understand the difference between, hey, this is,
I think, getting sold is probably the key word you said there.
Yeah.
Because I feel like no matter what you're doing, you're always selling something. If it's a product, a service, or yourself.
Yeah.
But it doesn't feel as genuine if someone's always selling you. And then, so you really have to find the people you trust. So I think that's key. It was, for me, I think the other cool thing about this branding and social media thing is you have access to so much more. So like one thing I did in college was I was really big into networking and trying to meet as many important people or successful people as just so I could either try to replicate what they did or take tidbits of, hey, they did this in their life. How did they get there? How did they get to that point? So one thing that I did, and I think that was one thing that probably doesn't get taught as much, and I wish I had somebody to help me expedite that process because I had to do it on my own. So I created this little manual or little book of interviews in college. I called it SWAM, for some success wears a mask, because I truly believed that, there is no definition of success, because you never know sees someone else as successful. It does not have to have whoever with the biggest bank account doesn't always mean that they're successful, because they have other things going on in their life or whatever. So I tried to go to people who, it could be a janitor, it could be a CEO of a company. It was whoever I felt was successful. So I would have these interviews, and I said I never showed anybody or released them, but it was cool because I got to the point where I was asking, not like, do you wake up at 5 a.m. in the morning? Because there's not every successful person has the same path. So I was trying to figure out what types of situations that they put them in to get to the point, or what were they reading that kind of opened up their mind to different things, or were they getting internships? Are they a part of certain groups? So it really tried to help me deep thinking, just because it was cool, because I could take different things that they did in their life, or hey, they would, and usually you'd get to some people and they'd say, hey, this is something that I did that I thought because I saw other people doing it, but it did not help me. And so I could take those parts of their life and then incorporate it into my own. And they were always usually willing to introduce me to other people, because it, there was no, I wasn't getting anything from it, and I wasn't trying to get anything from them by asking for a job or anything. I just wanted to connect with them on a deeper basis to learn more about them, and usually people appreciate that.
Yeah.
So that was really helpful to me.
So what do you feel as you? Why don't we start off this way? What are you kind of doing now? Like, are you still playing? Are you working on the side?
Yeah, so I actually just got out of training camp with the Chiefs. One of their snappers had COVID, so I have a pretty good relationship with some people within the Chiefs, and also I had used to work out with their punter and kicker, and also their long snapper, so had that relationship. So he had COVID, so he was out for 7 to 10 days. So I came in, and it was good because I got on a transaction report, and it just got me back out in the field. But outside of that, right now, I'm working for a buy-side investment banking firm. So we are helping companies on the buy side so we have capital partners that are looking to buy companies for add-on acquisitions or just whatever. And so we're helping source and helping these other companies align with our capital partners. So then one company buys another, and so it's really private equity and strategic acquisition. So yeah, it's a lot of fun. You learn a lot about companies, and the deal flow side is very, very interesting, because before that I was helping out on the operations and business development side of just a investment advisory firm, and he was a portfolio manager called Kirtland Hills Capital, and they just have some awesome things going, because he has a professional athlete division, and it's really cool because he saw that all these athletes, there was a financial literacy just gap. So that was one thing that I was very passionate about in school and out of school, is financial literacy and educating yourself on what you need to do with your money, where you need to put it, what's your risk levels, are you tolerant to risk, are you not, those types of things. So it's really cool to see their process and really helping athletes develop passive income, because I think that's the hardest thing for people to realize, especially athletes, is there is going to come a day when you can't play anymore and that paycheck stops. Mm-hmm. So when that paycheck stops, what's your income source now? You have none. So when you can develop a portfolio that has dividend income, you now have a second income source coming in, and you can live off of that. So it's not necessarily budgeting, not big on budgeting, but how much money do you need to make to uphold your current lifestyle? Because that's what's important. Because it's hard to tell someone, especially when they're making millions of dollars, hey, you need to put this amount of money away. Yeah. So can you uphold your current lifestyle that you're living by creating passive income? So that was huge. And then as soon as you create those different buckets and you have passive income coming in, then that opens up a whole nother realm of private investment opportunities. And you can look into investing into companies and be part of them if you can get sweat equity or whatever. So that was something that I was really passionate about and still pursuing. So it's really cool. And one of the projects I have right now, actually, it's called Pro Athlete Intel. Dante Whitner's his name. He's a 3-time Pro Bowler, played in the league 11 years, and I'm working with a few other people right now on it. And it's going to be an athlete development from high school to college to pro to retirement. So within all stages. So it's coaching based, It's on field, and we're going to have a learning management system that a high school or college or pro player is able to go in and receive coaching from these pro athletes. And so that's really cool because I would consider that pretty much industry groundbreaking, because I feel like there's not a lot of access to some of these pro players and that are willing to really, hey, you need to work on this. Let's break down your film. Or if I'm a professional player moving on to retirement, oh, I'd like to go into media. We have a media coach. So that stuff is really, really fun and really cool. And then eventually, obviously, to get college kids involved just so they can monetize their benefit. And then another thing I'm involved with right now, actually, it's called Legacy League. And if you're familiar with NFTs, it's providing the exchange for college athletes right now that are trying to monetize their name, image, and likeness. And Legacy League is going to provide the platform, and you don't pay anything. So they're going to create the NFT for you, and they're going to show you how to market it, go through valuation analytics and all these different things, which is really cool because you're learning how to run yourself like a business. And I feel like that's one thing that athletes don't really get the opportunity to do, because when I was in college, I mean, let's be honest, that sport is your full-time job. You work more than 40 hours a week, and that is what you have to do. So I knew I had to really try to separate myself. Was how was I going to find experience while I was in college and playing? So don't know how I did it, but I ended up getting 2 internships and 3 jobs when I was in college. So, and really trying to find out what you wanted to do, because you don't know. And when you're competing with these other students who have had time to get internships during the summer and work during the year, that's really, really important, because they're going to have the leg up on some of these athletes because they have no experience, and experience trumps all in a lot of things. Not always, but until you can show how much value you add. And a lot of people want to hire athletes because they work hard, they have time management skills, and they're great in teams. And I mean, obviously the list goes on and on, but trying to find a way to show that you understand whatever it is you want to do, especially in business or whatever it is, you need to try to find something that is relevant to have relevant experience. So I think that's what this NIL is going to really do, because you essentially get to run yourself like a business. It was it Deion Sanders that said, "I'm not a business, I'm a businessman." So I think that's really cool, because you can almost put that on your resume now. Hey, look at all these things that I was part of, and I helped revenue go from this to this. And you can start learning those things, and you learn these metrics, and you learn industry terms, and that's what's really going to help set you apart of any other candidate in a job, or if you want to start your own business, because there's so many other things that go into running a business or being a great employee that you just don't get to learn while you're in school.
You don't. And I think that there are some, well, and we'll touch this on up on this on a second, but there are some things I think from you guys playing the game that actually transition over to helping athletes become good business owners, and bad things too. But but I really want to push, because we can geek out on this a little bit, because I think my biggest message that I'm always trying to relay to athletes is, yes, there's nothing wrong with going in and investing in another company. Of course, you need to watch out, because a lot of these companies will have fake followers, or they're just looking for an investment. I mean, 90% of businesses fail. So that's probably part of your job with the risk assessment and what you're doing with these businesses. And athletes need to understand that too. Like when you're going to invest in a company, like you need to remember and that most of these will fail. And so you have to understand they have to get kind of an understanding of, hey, would you rather do that, or do you want sweat equity in the point where maybe you're just building, not putting sweat equity into another business, but maybe you're building your own business around what you like and what you like to do. And I don't know how many times you've seen it with what you do, but and even from the financial standpoint, is that I think it also gives athletes purpose outside the game, and it helps them find an additional source of passion that also becomes their influential direction when they leave the game. But it's also something that they can build off of. A lot like playing in the game when
All
you're
right, 1 second.
no
So
problem,
we got the fire alarms are going off. Sorry about that.
no problem. Are we good?
Yep, we're good.
Okay. But yeah, like I feel like that passion you feel when you do a good job in a game, or when you do a good job in how you got all the way to where you did, that gratification and that passion for yourself that you get. It's the same thing in business. I feel that same gratification as my business grows, or I take that next step, or I'm learning from a failure. And I feel like athletes, and this kind of leads on to my next question is, and you kind of mentioned it a little bit, but why do you think athletes make such great business owners?
I think the reason, so kind of what you hit on is, one of my favorite quotes of all time is from Winston Churchill, and it's, true success is moving from failure to failure without losing enthusiasm, and failure isn't fatal unless it's final. So that's what athletes do better than anyone else, or I shouldn't say anyone, but a lot of people, is you fail all the time, like baseball. If you fail 70% of the time, you might be a Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
Like that's the reality of it. So taking the approach of, hey, this didn't work, what do I need to do better? Do I need to pivot, or do I need to stay on this path? And so I think that drive and determination, but also have a problem solving skill and a complex thinking skill that you utilize every single day, because when you're breaking down film, or you're training, or you're doing whatever it is to get better, at some point you're trying to get better every single day. So you're finding a different way to do something better every single day. And I think that some people, that skill's not always there because they haven't had to do it on a day-to-day basis. So, and then it's producing results. I'm a huge believer in again, this may sound bad and some people don't like to hear it, but at the end of the day, hard work doesn't mean everything, because it's, are you producing results, and are those results goal oriented, and are they gonna grow? Yeah. Because at the end of the day, everyone should work hard. That shouldn't be a characteristic or a trait that sets you apart from somebody else. And a lot of athletes are there to produce results. Just because you work the hardest doesn't mean you're going to be the best, whatever. That's just the reality of it. So when you translate that into a career, you understand that you have to find a way to be better than the next person, or do something better than you did the day before. And that's a trait that is very, very hard to teach.
And I honestly think that you nailed you nailed my next questions too, which is, what are the struggles? Because I think that as an athlete, what separates you apart, and what you've learned, it's a positive when you said, hey, you work hard, and you work hard, but as you also said, you need to work smarter, not harder. So I see a lot of athletes opening like 8 businesses, or trying to do 80 different things at once, and thinking, oh, I'm working harder. But when it's really like, hey, no, like, you need to focus on this one, maybe 2 things right now. Yes, yep. Diversify assets. There's nothing wrong. You hear it all the time. Diversify, do this. But the other ones come over time. You need to start with one, and you need to build it to a point where you can kind of,
be the best at 1 or 2 things. Yeah. Really one thing. But nobody is the best at everything.
Yeah.
That's just the reality. Yeah. So it's like Amazon is a great story, because Amazon was an online bookseller. Like, they sold books on the internet. They didn't start with selling the world.
Yeah.
They started with one thing, and they were the best at it. Then they grew, and then they grew. It's the same thing when you're training for a sport. You've showed that you have a strength. So then let's build on that strength. The Patriots do a really good job with, when they're evaluating talent, they don't look at their weaknesses as something that, this is why we're not going to sign him. What are his strengths? Are they going to bring something that adds value to our team that is going to help us win? So that's really a cool piece, because when you're working for yourself or somebody else, you're not going to be good at everything right away. So you need to know your strengths and know your weaknesses, and then really just hone in on your strengths and obviously get better at your weaknesses. But when you are really good at something, be the best at that skill. And those skills come natural. So if I think a lot of people try to force things that they're not incredible at, but they might be really good at something else. Those are the things that you need to, hey, I need to really focus on this so I can be the best at whatever that skill is. And I think that's really important to be successful really with anything.
Yeah, no, and I agree, and I think it's very big. It's a very big concept. I mean, it even takes effect in my business. I mean, we're really big on brand strategy, brand identity, and web development. We also do, digital marketing services for athletes and focus on social media and stuff. But we tend to really promote, hey, we need to do the brand strategy and the web development first because that's our strong point. That's what we really like to sell first. And as we continue to grow, then we're going to really push out to those other services more. Because when you spread yourself too much, you kind of, put yourself in where I have to hire like 80 people now. And that's another good point is, and I say this all the time in very simple terms, especially with businesses, and it really works well with athletes, because I think that the difference between athletes and regular business owners is that athletes don't go through the pain points that regular business owners do. They, like you said, athletes come out and they have, a few million in the bank, or they have stuff to really invest in growing their business right away, where a lot of business owners start with $0 and they learn the little mistakes as they go. Yes, there's the ones that get the investments and stuff, but besides that, and they learn those mistakes first. So when they get to the point where they have, millions, they're like, oh no, we will spend money on this because we know how important it is, or we're not going to go cheap, or we're not going to, we see the value. And so I always say, hey, when you first start out, time equals money, but you really need to have the opposite mindset. You really have to understand over time, money equals time. So start hiring out, start, growing your business. I'm a big component on growing slowly. I don't think there's anything wrong with growing too slow, because I don't want to, grow too fast. And you can kind of keep yourself up above water as you continue to grow and be able to have that profit margin grow and all that nifty stuff. But I think athletes have that capability. They just don't understand. So they sometimes make those mistakes. And that's where you come in. That's where you kind of come in and kind of help them from the literacy part with the finances, and not really telling them what to finance, but talk to them about those, are helping them with those, like you said, helping the athletes with your one company, where they're maybe teaching them some media, not necessarily so that they do the media, but maybe that they learn it enough that they can hire someone better than them to do it for them,
Yes.
And so, yeah, no, that's brilliant. And so what do you think some things athletes can learn from in regards to right now in our time frame? Because you're very similar to me, I think, with our time frame. I mean, we just had cell phones in college. I mean, in high school, I didn't have Facebook until I think I was a junior in college, and I was against it. I was a MySpace person at that time. So I was like, I'm not doing Facebook. I can't customize it, blah, blah. But nowadays there's so much, and we get so many prospects, and we have a couple clients on board that we're even getting them young at like 13 years old, and they're prodigies and stuff. And so what do you think some things athletes of any age, I think especially with NIL, I think athletes are starting to really think about this more, but what are some things athletes can learn in regards to building their brands from you, particularly since you've kind of gone through this and you're kind of working with it?
That's a good question. So I think that the biggest thing is really being true to, your content. If it's, you are your own brand and you have to put things out there that represent you. So, and I think, I'm trying to think the best way. Using other people around you too, I think is another big thing, because other people want to surround themselves with either you or them based off of you and what your brand brings. So I think that building slowly and really showing people what you want to show them. Because I think that really is the biggest thing as far as when you're branding yourself and what athletes can do to produce content is they need to produce the wholesome, genuine content. I mean, that really is, because you just see it so much where the content that people are producing isn't theirs, or it's not what they wanted to produce. And the best people on social media and really any medium is you can tell that it's theirs and they wanted to produce it. So I think that's really the biggest thing. And if you play in college, utilize the people that can help you. Ask for content, or if it's the pros or wherever. I think really looking to people that have expertise in it is another big thing. Yeah, I don't know. Like I said, the social media element is still new to me. So I didn't get in Instagram until I was, I think, a junior in college, or in. So yeah, it's very new, but I think that there's a lot to learn from it, and you can just benefit better than we could. So
Yeah,
taking advantage of it.
I think there's two sides of the coin there, because I think what ends up happening is, and I'll deal with this when I talk to prospects, and like, oh, I do my own Instagram. When I say that we do digital marketing or a branding and digital marketing agency, they're like, oh, I do my own digital marketing, and I have to say, well, digital marketing just isn't Instagram. Like, you have to remember, there's all of the social media platforms. There's your website. There's your brand and your brand language. There's your organic search, your paid marketing. There's so much, and it all works together. Your blogging. A lot of athletes don't leverage blogging, and I think that's a huge one for athletes right now. Be able to write down their voice as well and be able to do that. But I think that you're right on the other aspect. It's really authentic, and I think is what you were going after. I think it's authentic and consistency are the two main things. And consistency and authentic could go many different directions. And I think consistency is a huge one, because it could be everything from your tone of voice, your imagery, your copy, your graphics, your everything that's really kind of helping keep your brand socialized. But one thing that you really hit on that really got me is you said, as athletes are building their personal brand out, start leveraging other people. Because it's funny, in the business world, I have to tell this to business owners all the time when they get to that point where they're wanting to focus on social media, and they were a personal brand. And I say, you really need to focus on, you're no longer a personal brand, you're a corporate brand, but that doesn't mean that what you think it means. What it really means is your team is now your brand. And so leverage the positives. And there's a few, what I say, positive gurus out there that actually you can feel are authentic. Like you can tell the ones that are authentic, and well, most people can, but and you can see they have their teammates helping with their YouTube videos, being on social media. And I think athletes being able to leverage not just some of the people they're working with, but even having live chats with some of their fans, or doing certain situations that helps have the fan also be part, doing shout outs for some of these companies for free, doing stuff like that really kind of brings value to their community, I think is a really positive impact towards what they're trying to do on social media.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's probably just the consistency of engagement, like you were kind of talking about. I know George Kittle does that better than a lot of people. He's very consistent in engaging with his fans, and it's very positive. So if you can consistently engage positively with your fans, that just brings more attention to you, even though you're not trying to. Yeah. And so those are some of the things in business and in what we're talking about, is not always trying to have an ulterior motive. Sometimes it's just positive engagement gets the most engagement for you. It's just because it's you were just being positive, and you were reaching out to a fan, or you were shouting somebody out, and you have no other angle. It's just you were just being positive. And I think that brings a lot of attention, and it can say a lot about a person. And again, that just all goes back to you and your brand.
Yeah, and I agree. I think that's one thing that I have to tell a lot of the athletes that we talk to is, I mean, a lot of them don't even comment on things, on social media. And I get why. I mean, LinkedIn, I think LinkedIn is probably the best solution for them to comment because it's much more business oriented and less fan based. But when you're dealing with your fans, there's nothing wrong with replying back. And honestly, if you have negative comments or anything like that, I mean, it happens to even business owners and gurus. There's always going to be the haters out there. So just
Yep.
ignore them. But talk to your fans. Don't just say stuff like thanks for the comment or that's great. Like really get in there and talk to them because that makes the fan feel special because social media now has that ability for fans to interact with the athletes like never before. So
Yeah, it shows your personality and your creativity. And that's what people are engaging with you for.
Yeah.
Is because they like something about you. And so if you can say something funny or humorous back, or if it's really, maybe you make some type of allusion to another thing, or that's the funny part and the cool part, because you get so much organic conversation about whatever it is you want to talk about through those types of conversations and engagement.
Yeah, athletes are the next influencer, and I don't like saying influencer. I think a lot of people take the word influencer negatively because they're so used to it being associated with people just taking pretty pictures. But I look at influencer as more so like, hey, you're able to have a much more positive impact on a certain message more so than other people are. So take that to your advantage if you have something that you're really passionate about, and say it to the world, no matter what position you're in, no matter what leverage, what you're doing on the field, and will really help off the field. But we're getting close to the end now. So why don't you kind of tell everyone, how can you help athletes move forward? Like, what are you doing right now that can really help athletes?
I would say one thing is, I mean, really, if you're interested in that NFT, I said I would really look into Legacy League. That's one thing. I think it's really a win-win for you. It doesn't cost you any money, and plus you get exposure and you can monetize your nil in a way that you couldn't before. The other way is really, I would say, dive into whatever it is that you're passionate about and look into how can I potentially use everything that I have with it, your school, your team, your league, whatever it is, and reach out to the people that you want to work with, because that's what social media does. And you have this ability to really engage with other people. And I would say probably the final one is really watch out for Pro Athlete Intel when we launch here in a little bit. So it's going to be a really, really cool platform. And I think it's really going to revolutionize the way that you can engage with people, learn from the best, and really have someone that advises you through the whole process.
Pro Athlete Intel. Yeah, send those over to me after the podcast as well, and I'll throw them up. I'll throw them up in the thing. What social? Anywhere they can reach out to you at?
Yeah, so my Instagram, I don't have Twitter, but my Instagram is dscott_43. So I said, if you ever have questions or anything, if you said, I'm always here to help anybody that I can. So if you have questions or just want to be connected with somebody, feel free to reach out.
Sounds good. Well, I want to thank you again, Drew, for being on another episode of the Brand Power Analysis, and I hope everyone has a great rest of their day.